communication. So thank you for coming today and your patience. It seems like every kind of problem that could go wrong has gone wrong today. And that's why I need to be playing the frequency for the vagus nerve, because it's going to calm you down quite a bit. So basically, there is so much information to share. We'll see where we're at with this. Don't forget, some of you already know, but if you want to pass this around, if somebody wants to go to some of my older videos, we can just go to WAVwatch Frequency Fanatics on Facebook and see all the old ones live. You can also go to the website, obviously, and attend live through a Zoom call and the connection that is there and available every week. So please pass the word around. So one thing I've been telling you for a long time, but I found it in a different way today, and I wanted to share it with you. It's called the Sound Healer. Right on my little booklet on the back, it says that, sound is the first thing that we hear in the womb, and it's the last thing that we usually have control of on our senses before we die. We can usually still hear things. Our sound fades quicker, but we can usually hear things as we pass. But I thought this was a different way to say it, that our brain is wired in such a way that it really puts a lot of emphasis on sound. And the area in the temporal lobe of the brain where sound signals are received is functional before birth. I've already said it in a much simpler way, but here it is again. The inner ear reaches its full adult size while we're still in the womb. And we cannot rely on our sense of sight, but we can start receiving vitalizing signals from the environment, because the water, the womb that we're in, sound will travel through that. So of course, for thousands of years, they chanted and hummed and did so many things with sound healing for a baby before it's born. And something new that I haven't had before, that I did take a deep breath and try to share with everybody. I don't know how many of you have seen Jim Donovan, but basically he is quite the drummer. He was in a professional band, a rock band that played, he said in front of 500,000 people. And he's actually gone full bore to talking about frequencies and healing. And he says that it all goes back to Ecclesiastes 12:6-7. And that people are just now realizing that it's in the Bible before the silver cord is severed. So he says that is the vagus nerve. And then, of course, the rest of this verse, and the golden bowl is broken before the pitcher is shattered at the spring, and the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. So he's actually saying that when that silver cord is severed, we're going to pass. And he has a really good, informative, kind of lecture about that. But I thought I would share that with you today, because we were really slow as a medical community working with and finding information out about the vagus nerve. They said maybe until the 1920s, they really hadn't worked with the vagus nerve. And it's basically the 10th cranial nerve, and it goes down our left and right side of our neck, and it supplies our organs and brain. And there's a left, like I said, and a right side, and they are hugely important. It is like that silver cord that, if you kind of want to think of it that way, that really is a life and death type idea, and everything in between can be affected because of the potency of this particular vein. So here's a few things that the vagus nerve affects: our organ systems, all of them. So the heart, it decreases the heart rate, the vascular tone. It increases gastric juices, gut mobility, stomach acidity. Inflammation, it's a huge problem when the vagus nerve is out. for inflammation. So sometimes people have inflammation all over their body and they're not really realizing that possibly there's a connection with the vagus nerve. It helps with our brain and so many of our emotions. And so it's that fight or flight response that actually does help. And then taste information is sent with the vagus nerve. Decreases vascular tone, lowers the blood pressures. And I don't necessarily have to read all this. I'm just kind of giving you some information here because it's a really good chart and you'll see where I got that chart from. But basically it is showing us how much the vagus nerve, connects back to us. I need to adjust something here a minute. Not sure everybody can see or hear correctly. Is there any problem with hearing me? I have a new.
I hear you just fine.
Thank you. I have a new computer and boy, it just is hard to get it to work. So you see me flipping here. So I guess I'll quit messing with it. You can hear me and you can see my chart a little bit. There was a study done at the Feinstein Institute that shows that the vagus nerve may be what we call the missing link for treating inflammation. And that's just what I talked about earlier, that inflammation is huge. And sometimes they have no idea what's causing the inflammation. And then it's connected to so many other issues, high blood pressure, migraines, digestive, and arthritis, anything that you would connect with inflammation. So this actually is huge to let us know how much the vagus nerve affects our body. Another idea to think about is that the vagus nerve does affect our hearing, or it's connected a little bit to the ears more than we might think. Of course, it changes when I don't want it to and jumps when I, here we go. Trying to let you see that the ear has a substantial effect on the vagus nerve. It's not part of the vagus nerve, but the vagus nerve runs down it. So that's why some people are doing so good with massaging around the ears and down the neck. What they're actually getting is lymph node and vagus nerve and that kind of thing. So outside of the medical field, they don't really consider much about the vagus nerve. But it's again connected to the ear, the lower part of the eardrum, the middle ear, the stapedius, the stirrup. And from those parts of the ears, it just, goes on down through your body, the pharynx, the larynx, the thorax, and the abdomen. So the ear, stimulating the ear in some way can potentially mean stimulating a lot of other organ systems because they are connected with that vagus nerve. So I wish I could see a show of hands here kind of, but I don't want to touch too many buttons here since I'm having trouble. But I don't remember learning anything about the vagus nerve when I was growing up. And I really didn't learn a lot about it when I started in the natural health field about 15 years ago. So although they say there is information from the 1920s, I think that people are just now starting to wake up about the vagus nerve and really work with it more and more. So it's a huge thing. And we do have it on the WAVwatch, as we'll be talking about in a minute. See, now I want it to go and it won't. There it goes, finally, my fourth click. I'm having fun today. So I have a great big smile and I just want to tell you how big the vagus nerve is, because you see from this one, if you can read it really quickly, or if you want me to read it, but basically TikTok has had 47 million views on the vagus nerve. So that's what I'm kind of telling you. People are all of a sudden just learning about it. If we didn't know about it, we wouldn't be, wanting so much information about it. We're learning, we're grasping it, we're learning new information. Because like I said, I don't remember learning it in, 20 years ago. So the same way, if you Google vagus nerve on Instagram, A lot of people are saying that you can live a better life by releasing or resetting this part of your body. So it's so interesting that people are able to work on the internet and learn some things that could be very, very good for them. And one of them, like I said, I'm so excited, is the vagus nerve. It is so interesting. And I learned so much actually learning more and more, because here's something I didn't know. Do you know that the vagus nerve is connected with some of the long COVID problems? Now, of course, there are studies, and somebody else could have a study to refute it, but most long COVID subjects with vagus nerve dysfunction had a range of alterations, including nerve thickening, trouble swallowing, impaired breathing, and the list, even connects more and more. So, wow. We may have messed up our vagus nerve with the COVID problem, with the virus, with however you want to call it. So one of those ideas that we could add in as we learn about things to protect our health is actually to add the vagus nerve frequency set, which I will show you in a minute. And if you haven't already found it, it's in the immune system area. So it is hugely important now that we have a study to realize that maybe that's part of the breathing problem, is because the vagus nerve has been impaired. Now, doctors, I didn't really even know how they tested for vagus nerve. So they're just really going to look at your gag reflex, and they can also track your heart rate, your breathing rate, your heart rate variability. And if you have a high heart rate variability, it's associated with higher vagal tone and better overall health. But mostly it sounds like they're just doing a in-office look at your vagus nerve by testing your gag reflex. So that isn't anything hugely quote unquote scientific on that, but then they go ahead and try to do other studies. So how would you know if you were having trouble with your vagus nerve? These are some other symptoms. So again, it plays a role in digestion, breathing, mood, all of our moods, immune system response, our speech, and our taste. Hey, do you think that's why people are losing their sound and their taste? It doesn't say smell, but it does say taste. Maybe because their vagus nerve has gotten messed up with the problem with some of the viruses out and about today. We also have mucus and saliva production, and then the urine output could be messed up also. So again, this nerve is huge. It winds through your body. And I think we should be making a lot bigger deal out of it and trying to learn more about it, which we are. 7 million people on TikTok want to know more about it. So again, it messes up your heart, blood vessels, lungs, stomach, esophagus, intestines. Huge to remember that it affects so much of our body. Now, other conditions, more conditions, possible symptoms of damage can be loss or change of voice, the loss of the gag reflex, difficulty swallowing or speaking, slow heart rate, low blood pressure, nausea or vomiting, and abdominal pain. So more symptoms, it just keeps going on and on. There are actually 5 large trials on vagus nerve stimulation, and they all have been working with clients who are depressed. So they are definitely saying that this problem with a treatment-resistant depression, meaning that they've tried all kinds of medications and everything that they can, think of medically, and the depression was not responding. So they turn to nerve stimulation. And of course, the medical community has a whole new route on that. So what they are doing now, if you have vagus nerve problems, is implanting a device, kind of like your, a pacemaker, but they're implanting it up, in that area and behind your ear is the best I can understand. And this delivers mild electrical impulses through a device. And it's very antidepressant benefits. And it has been helpful in a 5-year study. Now, I wanted to know a little bit more about this study. So again, this stimulation is actually on the left vagus nerve, according to this information, and it actually works with depression and epilepsy. And I see that I have phrased this wrong. It says that it's actually under the chest. It does not say up underneath the ear. So this device is going to work to send impulses to the left vagus nerve, and it calms down the irregular activity. Well, what do you think this costs? Anybody have any guesses? You might kind of put that in your mind and then tell me a little bit later. So anyway, they're using this for depression. And these are the frequencies that they're using, a 10 to 30 hertz frequency. And this frequency is basically a low range. It's not even hardly in the hearing range. So other frequencies that are used on vibration tools might be 109 to 90 or 160 to 200. And those are more in the hearing range. But the ones that are actually implanted for epilepsy and for depression are more low range, very low range in the body. Here's what it costs. The grand total was $43,820.91, according to a person that I found on Facebook. And I guess I didn't catch her where I got that from, but she was saying that she didn't have to pay anything for it. She had very good insurance, but this is what it would have cost her. And she did a very thorough explanation of this. So to work with depression, to work with improving the vagus nerve, what they're doing now, again, is an implant and a possible cost of $43,000. And that, if you see the note at the bottom, that doesn't even include the overnight stay in the hospitals, turning on the device, tuning it up, and follow-up care. So it actually goes a little bit higher than that. But I thought that was so interesting that somebody took the time. And that is one of the neat things about the internet, that we can see some neat information so that we can gather and look at some ideas. So we've got quite an expense here if we want to get an implant for vagus nerve problems. But what else does it do? I think I've got a slide out of place here a little bit. But we do have it on the WAVwatch. And most of you know that the WAVwatch starts at $497. It's under $500. So it actually also helps with your immunity, and that's because it helps the skin, the stomach acid, enzymes in your tears, mucus, and the cough reflex. So it's really considered a first line of defense. And so that's why it's in the immunity, or immune system category under chronic. So it's a natural mechanism, and I'm so proud that we have it on the WAVwatch, which includes 849 other frequencies. And again, I'm trying to contrast that back to the possible, let's round it up, 45,000 that you might have for implanting something for your vagus nerve. So that's a good place to start.
Linda?
Yes.
It's Janet. It's also under nerves, pain nerves, vagus nerve.
Yes, and I did put it in there because I thought people might see it easier. That would be another way for to see it. And really, I should be stringing it in everything. I should put it in with the, the digestive system. I should put it in with, you see what I'm saying? It connects with so much that it could really be scattered throughout. So that's why I'm making a whole, workshop about this today, how important the vagus nerve is, and that we should be using it more and more because of that. So thank you so much for reminding me of that. I've probably forgotten to say that I should have put it in lots of places. Wow, love my new computer. It's just not working at all. But anyway, the WAVwatch has it in the chronic icon, the very first icon, and then you're going to go down to the immune system, and it is the very last thing on the vagus nerve. So again, this all has to do with our immune system, you know, so I tried to put some ideas in there: fatigue, general body support, immune complex, immune system diseases, immune stabilization, immune system, you know, stimulation, inflammation, pain, and trauma is huge. We already talked about how the vagus nerve has so much to do with inflammation, pain, and sepsis. If you've got something all over your system, sepsis, that's, you know, where I put it. Sometimes when you've got 850 frequencies, it's not really obvious where something should go, but the sepsis is in this particular one. Systemic support, and then the vagus nerve, because that's what it is. It's systemic support, it's inflammation support, it's your immune system support. So that's where I put it to start with. And then as an afterthought, I added it to the nerves, just so people could maybe find it if they didn't know where they were looking for it. So I really encourage you, because it is so important. Now, here's a few other ways to stimulate the vagus nerve. And this is what I really want to open up when I finish. I've got just a couple more slides, because some of you are probably doing some of this and you've got some more ideas. So there are, you know, cold showers. We're supposed to be taking cold showers. You know, we take a warm shower and then we're supposed to turn that shower to ice cold and stand in there as long as we can, or even go outside when it's really cold. And that's a way to stimulate your vagus nerve. So I do that some, but I don't think I'm really into it. Like there's a guy who is known for his ability to stay in ice cold water and swim in the icy water. I'm not there. I don't know if anybody else is, but that is one way to stimulate the vagus nerve. Another way is humming and singing. So if you want to look it up, there are several videos about just toning and humming and just, you know, in the back of your throat. And I know Virgil's on. Virgil's going to tell us, aren't you, a little bit more about the Om and the particular tone that is very good with the vagus nerve. So many things that you could do in that particular idea. Now, if you're not a singer or a hummer, we have all kinds of YouTube videos. So I listen to those sometimes during the day. Instead of having music on, I might, you know, go to YouTube and find a particular video music frequency set that is made for the vagus nerve, or, you know, all kinds of things that you can find there. So I can play that. Plus I can be doing the WAVwatch, you know, I can do a couple of things at the same time that are very similar.
Linda?
I don't know. Yes.
This is Libby. I just wanted to say that I had a client that was in my office a couple of weeks ago, and she said that she cured her Hashimoto's by certain humming techniques and stimulating that area to be able to get rid of her Hashimoto's totally, which I had not heard of anything like that before. I thought that was fascinating.
It's all frequencies. Humming is a frequency. So she got the right frequency, evidently. Really interesting. Love it. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So, you know, go for these. There are some things on YouTube that can be very helpful for us. Make sure you have a big stone in front of your TV, or you've got your whole house, you know, helped with EMF, so that you're not, you know, have your TV on all day, giving you a lot of problems. You're trying to negate the EMFs from the TV that get the good, you know, frequencies from the music. And I have a big stone in front of mine. I love stones to neutralize EMFs, that kind of an idea. But we could go on to mindfulness and meditation. Some people might be able to even show us something today if somebody is doing that and it's specific for the vagus nerve. We can also do deep and slow breathing exercises. Now, that's part of the meditation too, but these are resetting our vagus nerve. And that's why some of our different meditation programs are so amazing. They really are affecting the vagus nerve. And look at all the things the vagus nerve affects. effects. Sometimes we kind of, downplay something. Oh, that did help, but it's probably helped more than one thing in your system. We might not be realizing how effective it is. So you can also do an exercise or massage around your ears and your throat, and there's several on the internet. You can look at those really carefully. You're going to be, pulling your ears, pinching your ears, moving them around, and then, taking your fingers and going down the side of your throat. And so sometimes I'm just showing that as a massage for lymph nodes, and I probably really ought to be adding the idea and the vagus nerve, So we're getting massage very, very good. And if you go to a massage therapist, if that's part of your health program, ask them what they're doing for massage. Hey, are you able to massage anything for the vagus nerve? That would be helpful to me. They're also saying that probiotic foods are very, very helpful. And that's because of the idea with the gut and the vagus nerve connection with that. So even that is very, very helpful. I haven't seen this one, but a foot massage. I used to get those and I didn't actually think about it until I saw this particular idea. But you can ask the person who's doing your foot massage which one is the one for the vagus nerve. But they are really able to massage your feet and help everything in your whole body. And, I know several people that have had amazing turnarounds with a foot massage, so definitely stimulates the vagus nerve, but I do not know the area. And sorry, I didn't take time to look that particular one up. Maybe somebody can volunteer for that or might know it when we get done here. And then I don't know if I'm disappointed or I like this idea or not, but sleeping on the right side is supposed to also activate your vagus nerve. And I'm not sure why right side, left side, but that was a particular idea that somebody had because you're evidently moving it enough and putting some pressure on it, that kind of thing, so that it is being activated. So I think those are some great things that we can do, but I just use the WAVwatch mostly. It's my main frequency at least once a week, and I put it on as a loop and play it overnight or as long as possible during the daytime. And I really do feel so much different. Sometimes I'll notice it more than others, but emotion, my senses and mind, and that's really what I'm kind of working for, is my brain a little bit more, but it's my main set at least once a week. And that's how I would say that. So I don't know if it's yours, if you've discovered it or not, but don't forget that you can look at anything going on in your body as a form of disharmony. And there's no organ system in our body that is not affected by sound and music. There you go, Libby, from your thyroid information, music and vibration. So this is from the late Dr. Mitchell Gaynor, and he was in medical oncology and integrative medicine. So his words are really resounding with me. So don't forget to try to play the vagus nerve once in a while. Okay, so I'm going to try to stop sharing here and see if we can open this up for everybody to see that. And here we go. So please, I see Virgil already. I know you're going to tell us about the humming. Please do. Can I hear you? I can't quite hear you. Can everybody else hear him?
No.
No.
Nope.
You should be, you can hear me now, yes?
Yes.
Yes, there we go.
Computer adjustment. Question, what are the frequencies embedded within the WAVwatch in the vagus nerve file? Do you know?
I didn't know you were going to ask that, but I have, like I keep saying, I've got a new computer, which is driving me crazy today. And I have the exact frequencies on my other computer.
Okay.
But the ones I could find, which I am assuming are 109 and 90 and 160 and 200, somewhere in that range. And I can update you if it's something drastically different.
Okay, so yes, it has a range within the file. There are a number of different frequencies within the vagus nerve file.
Sometimes there are not, and the vagus nerve does not have 30. Some of those I created, I was able to, I did put about 30 frequencies in, but the vagus nerve would be one that only has a few frequencies in it.
Okay, all right.
What are those again, those frequencies, Linda?
The best I could find just doing research was 109 hertz and 90 hertz, and then a 160 and a 200.
Thank you.
And I actually found those on videos, where you could listen to the music, and that was the frequency they were saying.
Yes.
Okay. So basically one gets all of those frequencies, all four, and
Yes.
the body will use what is necessary. Okay, good.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah. And I tried to get my new computer to pull up old wave frequencies that I created on another one, and it just wasn't working. It was throwing a fit. So I tried to find out myself. I was wondering which exact frequencies were in there, but thank you for your question. Anybody else? Did you notice? I was kind of shocked when I started studying this about the connection with the COVID. That made me think a lot of all of those symptoms and how it could be so damaging to the vagus nerve. So that would be a great one to play when somebody has some kind of a virus problem, or you're protecting yourself. Maybe even another place to play when you're in a big crowd with a lot of people who might, I think I can use that shedding word safely, so that might be something for protection also. And I think that's very, very important. I'm not sure if Ann is on today. Ann Yee. Ann, are you on? She just sent me a.
Yes, yes, I am.
Can you tell about the study that you just sent with the Pfizer and the
No,
shedding?
I'm on a walk and I don't have anything in front of me.
Oh, okay. And I just looked at it for a little bit, but Ann sent me a study that was saying that Pfizer had actually admitted that there was shedding, that people could just, from touching somebody else who had had the shot, that you could pick up something from that. And that was coming from Pfizer. So that was very, very interesting, and gave several examples. So that might be a huge thing that we could add to our list to protect ourselves when we are around people. And it would just be the statement around people, because everybody is connecting with somebody else who's connected with somebody else who's connected with somebody else. And so we do tend to be passing things around possibly. So anyway, that would be a good start. Overall protection series is to make sure that your vagus nerve is stimulated. All right. Any other additions? Anything to add? Well, I hope this wasn't too boring. I was really excited about it. I actually didn't know that the vagus nerve had that much to do with the problems with COVID. So I thought I really learned something, and I was very glad to have that information. So any other questions or additions? It doesn't have to be about the vagus nerve. Anybody want to add something else? We're winding down. Yeah, go ahead, Virgin.
Okay. So a suggestion, everyone who muscle tests, check their vagus nerve and see how it's functioning on the high end and on the low end. There's never one number, there's a range between 30 and 50, 50 to 70. Find out what the high and low end is, and then put the vagus nerve on, vagus frequency on, and then check it after that and get some validation. Just FYI, I'm headed up to a friend who is not well, has some inflammatory issues and a lot of pain. And you're talking about this, nothing else is work. I said, and she has a WAVwatch. I said, I don't think she plays a vagus nerve. Neither do I. It's just like really appropriate at this time.
Mm-hmm.
What a deal. And I also just purchased a little device that I wear around my neck, which I'm getting ready to return, that works on the vagus nerve. I've not ever tried it. I said, I'll forget it. But Linda, you come up with your magic, psychic, intuitive, what's appropriate for the day to talk to me. Thank you very much.
And it talked to me too. I mean, really. And I saw that device, I think that you're talking about, and it was just for the vagus nerve, and, I'm so thrilled. That's why I was able to bring the WAVwatch to you with 850 frequencies, so that we don't have to hopefully have as many devices, but anything that's in a frequency device has to have some merit to it. Our bodies are, frequency. All right. I think maybe somebody else was going to say something too.
This is Janie.
Sure, Janie. Hello.
Hi. That probably explains your explanation today of the vagus nerve, why in the mornings when I get up, I just, when you don't feel as perky as you should, maybe, or whatever. Well, I have this keyboard that I'm trying to teach my little grandkids how to play someday, because I've done lessons music all my life, I guess. So what do? I get up and I go play the keyboard for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. You can't believe how much that does for me. It's wonderful. And I keep thinking, it's Linda. She did this for me. So maybe it's the vagus nerve that we're stimulating here, but it has so many beautiful organ type sounds on it and stuff. And that's what I just love that. And
it is amazing.
The whole thing.
Oh,
and
good.
I've even found some of the keys that fit with your watch frequencies that make.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful. And one of them is the anaphylaxis. It's a F above middle C. It's an octave up.
So you can tell that one. Wow.
It fits perfect. It chimes right in there with your watch. And I think, oh boy, that's just what I need to teach this little grandson that has all these allergy problems. So
yeah. And it's so neat that we can call the vibrations on the watch a song, because
right.
you just mentioned it. That one is the key. It's F.
Right. It is. It's
mm-hmm.
And A is one also, and I can't tell you which one it is, but
mm-hmm.
It just fits perfect with your watch. Just chimes right in there. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is so exciting. So I have to play this thing more than once a day, but at least when I get up, I go over there and I play and I can get up and I can walk a lot faster, a lot better. It's just wonderful. So I think this is probably what's going on, is this vagus nerve stimulation out of the deal.
I love it.
And then something else I wanted to mention is, you've got that ankylosing spondylitis, whatever it is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I have never used it very much until just lately, I guess, probably a week or so ago. And I thought, before I go to the chiropractor, I'm going to put this thing on. And I did. And it seemed like there was a little bit of difference in my spine, of loosening it up, and I've been using that off and on for about a week. Oh my goodness, it's gone all the way down my whole body. My knees and my legs and everything have almost quit hurting over that deal. And I can just feel that, feels like my spine is all stretched apart like it ought to be. It's just wonderful. So
that's the first testimony I've had on that. And that really is, where your back is getting very rigid, Yeah.
I was just stiff as a board, just stiff all over. Felt like I was just kind of, if you stretched me out and turned your hand upside down, how it hangs down, that's what I felt like I was doing. Well, this thing is stretching me back out.
Wow, so great.
I think it's a really good one you have on there.
Thank you. I want to share a testimony I got yesterday, and I hope I'm repeating it correctly, but I do have a chiropractor that bought my WAVwatch in Florida, and he was flying somewhere else with another person. And then, if I'm understanding the story straight, there was somebody else on the airplane beside him, and all three of these individuals had knee pain. So he took off his WAVwatch and he just strung it somehow in between them and evidently played it on knee pain. I probably shouldn't be saying the testimony when I, can't repeat every detail exactly, but they didn't wear the WAVwatch. They just shared it between them where they could hear it. And all three of them had improvements in their knee pain. just sharing it on an airplane ride. So isn't that a fun one? So I just have laughed and laughed about that one. So I'll get a few more details so I can repeat it very quickly. But one of them had hurt their knee, and another one had twisted their knee, and blah blah blah. But all three of them had knee pain, and so that's probably the frequency that they used. I just assumed it was, but I haven't asked. So anyway, you never know what the WAVwatch is going to be able to help you with. So I hope you're still enjoying it, and let me know if if there's any questions or anything else I can do. Other than that, any more additions today before we close it out?
It's Janet, and I didn't follow what Janie was saying about the keyboard, the notes, the F and A. Can she repeat that? I was curious about that.
I don't know. I just discovered that the F, that's an octave above middle C,
Yes.
just kind of, the tone vibrates the same as it does on Linda's watch with the anaphylaxis, I believe.
Oh, okay. That's what I missed.
Yeah,
So,
the anaphylaxis frequency and it match up just real good.
oh, fascinating.
And there's several others. I think if you worked with it long enough, and then of course your keyboard has all these different tones that you can create, by using different sounds. And I think with all that, you can create a whole lot of those tones probably and figure them out what they are.
Yes, and it actually went backwards. I think they created, or they knew the notes and went backwards to make the tones so that I could put them on the WAVwatch, is a different way to say it. Yeah, they go back and forth either way. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because I've noticed that for quite some time, but anyway.
All right.
Underline, correct? That's underline. You're saying the anaplasmosis. I'm not pronouncing it right. Is that correct?
Anaphylaxis. It's under allergy.
She's talking. Yes.
Oh, thank you for correcting. Okay, under allergies. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you are a musician and really, like doing some of that stuff, you can kind of hear the pitch from what it is, and what the sound that it makes on the WAVwatch, definitely. And there's all kinds of, I'm not sure that I'm saying it right, fifths and, different things that are woven together to make those 30 frequencies. So that is how it works. So
Linda,
yes.
also, you mentioned YouTube. Instagram has some places you can go as well. There's a health tips _68 has a lot of different health tips, and one of them gives the things that exercises you can do to stimulate the vagus nerve.
All right. I really appreciate that, because I guess I hadn't caught on to that earlier. And that is a great overall thing that we need to be doing more for our health, and especially in our concern about, the times that we are working through. So very important to stimulate as many things as we can in one easy way, one easy session.
I have to say too, that when I saw that on your watch, vagus nerve, I didn't know what that was. So I went and did some research, I looked it up. I Googled to see what is the vagus nerve. And actually, because it was on your watch and that's where I saw it, that's where I became interested in and learned more about the importance of the vagus nerve.
And, I think I mentioned that earlier, that I don't think very many of us know about the vagus nerve. I don't think they educated us about that, 20 years ago, 30, whatever. It is a newer idea, and it's mostly with alternative people, I believe. So, but very helpful for all of us at this point in time. All right. Well, enjoy your WAVwatches. I'm going to wave bye-bye. How's that?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. It's always good to see you.
It is. Bye-bye.
Bye.